So Europe and the United States have warned of deeper sanctions against Russia if it makes any further incursions into Ukrainian territory. President Obama said Russia could not be expelled from Crimea by military means, but if the West stayed united, Moscow would realize it couldn't win through brute force. But even as he spoke in Brussels, there were reports of new Russian military maneuvers. Our Europe editor, Matt Fry, is in the southern Ukrainian port city of Odessa, and he joins us there now. Matt.
Kathy, this is a very beautiful city on the Black Sea, one of the most alluring cities in this neighborhood, and a city that has seen plenty of good and bad history. Now, I came here today with the Polish Foreign Minister Radek Sikorski, who was afraid that the bad type of history that this neighborhood has seen is about to repeat itself.
On the centenary of the First World War, the question is both ironic and alarming. Could the flat expanse we're flying over once again see conflict? Below is Ukraine, and the man mulling the headlines is one of Europe's leading voices in this crisis. The Polish Foreign Minister Radek Sikorski, born in Soviet-occupied Poland, educated in Oxford. Do you expect there to be war, proper war?
I hope not. It's the last thing we want, but yes, it is very troubling that some of the lessons of World War I, of World War II, its origins in using the pretext of protection of national minorities, and indeed of the Cold War. Some of those horrible lessons seem to be being ignored.
More from him later. But while we spoke in the air, President Obama was confronting the ghosts of history on the battlefields of Flanders. Until a few weeks ago, he surely never thought that he would use this occasion to give a speech like this.
If the Russian leadership stays on its current course, together we will ensure that this isolation deepens. Sanctions will expand, and the toll on Russia's economy, as well as its standing in the world, will only increase.
Menace is in the air. For days now, we've heard about a Russian military buildup on the Ukrainian border. These snatched images of Russian tanks appeared today, north of the capital Kiev. They have yet to be verified, but they've done their bit to fray nerves on the internet. These are the military exercises the Russians do want you to see. They took place in Abkhazia on the eastern side of the Black Sea, in a region which Russia seized from the Republic of Georgia in 2008. On the ground, in a Kiev that still remembers the dead of the revolution, we get stuck in chaotic traffic with the Polish foreign minister, who's trying to cram in one meeting after another. After 30 minutes of talks, his Ukrainian counterpart is adamant. If the Russians invade, we will fight. But how and with whose help? I put all this to Radek Sikorski back on his plane, heading to our next troubled destination. The Ukrainian foreign minister said today that if Russia were to make incursions into the east of the country, they would fight, which they haven't done yet, and they would defend themselves. What will NATO do then? What will a country like Poland do if it comes to that?
Well, Matt, you've been to the Maidan.
Yeah.
You saw that these are tough people, and I think they probably will resist. Ukraine is also a country that has a tradition of partisan warfare against both the Nazis and the Soviets. We've appealed to Russia to go no further.
Are these appeals being heard?
Only one man knows, and he lives in the Kremlin. And I just hope that he has the genius of knowing where to stop.
Everyone tells us that there is no military option on the table here, but the Russians are clearly invoking a military option, aren't they?
Well, the concentration of Russian troops with all the logistics available around Ukraine's border is very troubling, because you do that sort of thing either to intimidate or to invade.
Next stop, Odessa on the Black Sea, and a meeting with the regional governor to lend moral support to a place that is also beginning to feel the heat, because it is both strategically important and divided between pro-Russia and loyal to Ukraine. Odessa has always been strategically vital. It was one of the biggest naval bases of Imperial Russia, one of the biggest naval bases of the Soviet Union, and once again it's become a focal point of the current crisis. Not surprisingly, the American Navy, together with the Ukrainian Navy,
are expected to hold exercises in these waters later this year. There'll be an awful lot of saber rattling right here.
But Ukraine itself has run out of sabres. What they're looking at is a very poignant sight in the port below. The Sahaydachny, a frigate, one of the last few warships still flying the Ukrainian flag. Dozens of their ships were seized by the Russian Navy in Crimea in recent days. Once upon a time, this would have been seen as an act of war. Today, it is an act of piracy, with a threat of more to come.
It is really quite astonishing how much and how quickly the Russian Navy has seized in these waters in Crimea in recent days. Out of these 61 warships that once belonged to Ukraine, only 10 are now flying under a Ukrainian flag, and the frigate that we saw in my piece is the most prominent of them. So for all the talk of unity between the United States and Europe, and I think there is genuine unity, especially on the way forward with sanctions, the one problem that they still have is second-guessing Vladimir Putin. What is he going to get up to next? And so far, they've been really bad at getting that right.
Matt in Odessa, thank you very much for joining us.